Folks, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening with our public hearing. We have a public hearing scheduled prior to our regularly scheduled Greer City Council meeting. What I'd like to do is, in light of the fact that we've got one member that'll be out tonight and one member on the way, go ahead and start the public hearing. The public hearing is called to order. The order of business this evening is one item, and that is in regard to ordinance number 18-2017. Public hearing is held in regard to the City of Greer Budget Ordinance Fiscal Year 2017-2018, an ordinance relating to the fiscal affairs of the City of Greer, South Carolina, making appropriations, therefore levying taxes, and to provide for an effective date. This is your time to make comments in regards to ordinance number 18-2017, which is our City of Greer Budget Ordinance. If you would like to make comment in regards to the budget, you are welcome to come to the podium and use an appropriate amount of time. I use appropriate relatively. We would like to keep it brief, but you're welcome to comment as you see fit in that regard. Do I have anyone, by show of hand, do I have anyone that would like to appear this evening before City Council in regards to the City of Greer Budget Ordinance Fiscal Year 2017-2018? I will ask a second time, by show of hand, is there anyone with us this evening that would like to appear before City Council in regards to the City of Greer Budget Ordinance Fiscal Year 2017-2018? Seeing none a second time, I will ask a third and final time. Is there anyone here this evening, by show of hand, that would like to make comments in regards to the City of Greer Budget Ordinance Fiscal Year 2017-2018, referred to herein as Ordinance number 18-2017? Let the record show that no one did so. Having asked 3 times, no one appeared in regards to ordinance number 18-2017. I'll call the public hearing to a close. With that, we'll move to our regularly scheduled business meeting. This is a called City of Greer Council meeting called and convened this evening, June the 27th, 2017. Being duly assembled, I would ask that if you'd like, you can stand with council as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And following that, I'll offer an invocation for council. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we come before you this evening, grateful for the many blessings that you have provided for us through the course of this day. We thank you for health and strength and life. We thank you for your divine path and guidance that has brought us here together this evening to conduct the city of the business. We thank you for the calling that you have placed upon council's life, for the commitment that they have made to do what is best and right for the citizens of the City of Greer. Pray that we'll always be mindful of the needs of all of our citizens, that you would guide and direct us in that endeavor. We want to lift up our brother, Mayor Terrence Roberts of Anderson, as he rests comfortably tonight within ICU in Greenville. We pray that you'll be with him through his recovery and with his family as they commute back and forth from Anderson. We just ask your blessing of health and strength upon him. We ask that your hand of healing be upon him as well this evening as well too. We pray for traveling mercies for our Councilman Dumas. We ask all these things in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. What's up with Mayor Terrence?
He had a medical episode on Sunday and had to be transported to AnMed Hospital. They felt it necessary to have him flown to Greenville General, but he is as of this afternoon was resting comfortably, but still being monitored pretty closely. So Terrence Roberts, good friend of not only many of us at this table, but of the Municipal Association and upstate organizations. Good fellow, and won't remember him and his family. With that, then, we're going to move to a time of public forum. We set this time aside at the first of the meeting to discuss items of relevance to items that are on the agenda this evening. We have one member that is, or one citizen that has asked to appear this evening, and that would be Mr. Clayton, Mr. Mark Clayton. Mr. Clayton, the podium is yours. As I mentioned earlier, we would ask only that be an appropriate amount of time and appropriate to whatever you'd like to share with us. But we do have the rest of the meeting to conduct. So if you will come to the podium and state your name and address as a matter of record, we would appreciate it. And the floor is yours, sir. You can come to the podium. That'll be fine.
Okay. I'm Mark Clayton. My office address is 717 East Poinsett, just out across from the inland port. My wife and I live above Travelers Rest on Highway 414. I am here to talk about our new project, Net Zero Farm, which we're building over off of Inglesby, on the backside of Greer Mill community. And my understanding is there were some questions that council had, and before I start, I got some renderings that if you'd like to pass, kind of give you an idea. Pictures always worth 1,000 words. Those are the community layout, and one of the packages has our floor plans, and we've got 3 different floor plans. This community is the first of its kind ever in the United States. We call it an off-the-grid community where we get our electricity from sun. We build a passive solar home. And the way our model works is that we put in 2 to 3 acres of raised bed organic gardens in the center of the community. My co-founding partner is Bruce Adams, who is the organic farm manager at Furman University. Bruce is one of the Southeast leading experts on organic farming. Bruce has got a 1/4 acre raised bed garden at Furman, and that's our model for what we're doing in our communities. Bruce teaches labs to the students in the garden at Furman, and thereby he gets some of his labor that way. And then he's got community volunteers who come in and help him work the gardens as well. So that's how he gets his entire labor component. So the folks in our communities, and this is just the first of its kind, we're building these communities all around the Southeast. This is number 1. Number 2 is going to be down in Charleston. I just got back last night from meetings down there with folks. But the way the model works is that we'll build a passive solar home, which means that we orient the home with the sun. We put voltaics on the roof that feed down to batteries to keep our batteries charged. In this community, we'll be tied to city sewer, city water, and natural gas. We use natural gas for a backup generator to keep the batteries charged if we do not get enough sun for whatever reason during periods of time during the winter. And then we also have a gas range oven in the kitchen. I used to be in the restaurant business. I love cooking on gas. It's just a beautiful thing. And we're going to be building homes that are small in nature, but we've utilized every single inch of the space. The homes will range from 800 square feet, the smallest, up to 1,300 square feet. They'll sit on a 70 by 70 footprint. And the way our model works is that in return for volunteer hours from the people who live in the community, they get their veggies free, plus we'll pay their utility bills. So I'm basically trading out utility bills for my labor component in the communities. We'll always own the farm, so we're never disengaged. We never build them and then leave, because we own the farm. That's our ongoing revenue. We look to, in this community, On the upper end, which is on the Jones Road side, I've been talking with Indu Vicaria, who owns Unique Builders and who owns that 25 acres, I think it's 25, that's basically behind the Immigration Center and runs up to the library. We're going to be putting our farm market there, and as is with all of our models, we'll be putting in a farm market somewhere adjacent to the community to not only sell what we grow in the community, but we'll throw it open to local farmers within a 20-mile radius, which makes us a local food magnet, so that everybody who shops at the farm market knows that that food was grown locally. We'll also put in a Starbucks coffee line, an ice cream counter, and a commercial kitchen that can be used to prepare food, all kinds of food types for people to sell at farm markets and other places. Plus, we'll be able to offer it up for folks to come in and do catering as well. Plus, we'll have special functions in the community where we'll prepare the food in the kitchen and have the event in the community. We'll also in the community be building a 4,000 square foot grow unit where we'll have hydroponics and aquaponics. Hydroponics is growing vegetables in a liquid medium only. Aquaponics is fish farming. And what you do is you combine a hybrid to where you feed the fish organic feed, the fish poop nutrients to the plants. The plants are a filter for the fish, so you've got a perfect closed loop cycle to where the fish and the plants work together in harmony, so that we've got year-round growing in the hydroponics unit. We're going to be building 18 homes in this community. I've already got 12 people who want to give me money to put down a deposit, and I'm sure there's the other 6 that will go very quickly. Susan Wagner with Coldwell Banker Kane is our realtor. We've had our MLS listing up for, I think this is week 6, and my realtor's phone is just literally blowing up because lots of folks are excited about this. And I'm an old Greer boy, and so I'm tickled to death to be able to get this thing started here in Greer. So that's my best, shortest version. As Kelly can tell you, I can go on for hours, but in respect for what the mayor asked, I'll stop there. Questions?
Council, I would typically have asked Mark to join us on first reading, and was prepared to offer him time to speak later on as well too. Mark, can you join us for a portion of the meeting as we move along tonight?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm yours.
It may seem a little bit odd as you're already there at the podium, but typically in this particular time we'll entertain the thoughts of someone in regards to the public forum. It may be appropriate as we move into a discussion about this with staff, and then have you there that you'd be available to answer any questions during that point in time, if that'll suit with you.
Absolutely.
All right? Okay. With that, then we will ask if you'll just stick around. We'll identify you later as we get to that point, and there may be some questions that council will have that you'll be beneficial to help us with an answer on. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you for the presentation. In that regard, I think that's going to be useful information for our discussion later, and using that as a base, and I'm sure there may be some other questions in regards to the project as well too. With that, then, we're going to move to the minutes of the council meeting from June 13th. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any items of note for the clerk? We want to welcome Ms. Adams. Thank you for standing in this evening. And Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Bookert?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council departmental reports are contained in your packet as always. Mr. Driggers, or the department head, will be glad to share information in that regard with you. Mr. Seifert brings us our financial report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight we bring to you another strong monthly budget report. This is for the period ended May 31st, 2017. For the period, in the general fund revenue, we have recorded $21.7 million with corresponding expenditures of $18.8 million. That number from the expenditure side is 9% under budget. Referencing the dashboards, again, you'll see the strong performance there. We have a positive overall benchmark variance of $3.7 million, and then a carrying cash balance of $12.9 million. Moving to the hospitality fund, we have revenue that is 5% over budget of just under $1.9 million. Corresponding expenditures there in the hospitality fund of $1.8 million, and a carrying cash balance in the hospitality fund of $1,056,000. And finally, in the stormwater fund, we have revenue at $800,000. That number is 12% over budget for the revenue line item, with expenditures of $251,000 and a carrying cash balance of just under $1.6 million. I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have at this time.
Council? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We do have a quasi-departmental report this evening. Mr. Steve Owens, who is our communications manager, and who, if you were able to join us Saturday night, probably walked at least 12 or 15 miles back and forth in front of the stage and around through the crowd. And
it should have done some good.
Yeah, I think even saw him on the roof a time or two. I don't think he was contemplating jumping, but it could have been. I don't know. Steve is going to give us an update, possibly on some of the highlights that he got from that evening, but also on our website activity.
Well, certainly on the website activity, and you'll notice in your monthly report, it's just one page in length, very small. It's one of the smaller reports you get, but it has a wealth of information that we use to track trends and determine who uses it for information and to find services. So I do include it in the dashboard format, so it will be easier to view. You can look at it as a glance and get that information very quickly. The report is broken into three parts. The top graph displays the monthly page views since our current site went live in 2011. That was in April of that year, and it gives us a 10,000-foot view of the site. Taking a little closer at that graph, the prevailing thought in the industry is that the life of any website reaches its peak at about 4 to 5 years. Our site is currently in its 7th year. There is no point at which it falls off the earth after 5 years. The numbers are still very strong through analytics, and we think it does have good remaining life until we decide to move through with a redesign. Our figures do nothing to dissuade the thoughts that 4th or 5th year is really the peak, but we saw a solid increase over the remainder of 2011 after making the site live. That growth continued through 2015, and the growth has leveled off a little bit since 2016, and I will attribute that really to two reasons. First is the continued explosion of social media. Young people in particular prefer to get their news on social media sites, and that shows no sign of changing in the near future. We think over the next 10 to 20 years, website traffic will probably be static. It'll stay leveled off, and websites will continue to grow like mad. The other reason, I believe, is the trend of interactive technology to better engage visitors. I've been working with the Information Technology Office looking at some of these things, and we look forward to including those in our next redesign. Page views by season. If you look at this graph, which starts in January, you'll see a decline into February, and then we start to see a rise. Well, What happens during that spring season? Spring sports, youth sports. We see the International Festival, the Spring Cleaning Day, continue to see a rise up to June, July, Moonlight Movies, Tunes in the Park, and of course Freedom Blast. Now these are tightly scattered, well not really scattered, but tightly grouped from year to year, and you'll continue to see the increase from year to year. The one aberration there is June, and we all know what happens in June. It is the Freedom Blast season. 2 years ago, I developed a companion site for Freedom Blast, freedomblast.org, and it really took off along with our website. I did check those sites this morning. Friday and Saturday of last week, we had approximately 17,000 page views on those sites combined. So it's very interesting, and I think weather.com probably will thank us for sending a few more thousand their way to see when the rain would stop. But this is a quick look at that graph. So we go back. The second graph will show you a monthly overview broken down by days. Very simply what it is. At this graph, you will see the dips there. That is going into the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, we don't have a tremendous amount of traffic. And that's really, that really coincides with contractors doing their business and sports leagues, holding weekly games and leagues. It's not unexpected. You'll see a big change in that next month when the June report comes. Obviously, I just told you about Freedom Blast. So you'll see a large Friday, Saturday change there. At the bottom, we look specifically at the monthly statistics. Who are the visitors? Who's coming to the cityofgreer.org? Total sessions during the month of May, more than 21,000 from 57 countries. Only 5 of those sessions were from Russia. Should point that out. I don't think that's enough to spark a congressional investigation, but be aware of that going into the election season. We are able to track that. Good trend.
I'm sure you'll be on top of it.
Oh, yes. I don't want to be Sean Spicer, trust me. New visitors, we've had a good number of those, more than 12,000 during the month. Returning visitors, nearly 9,000. So that seems to be a continuing trend as folks either come to do business or they come to seek out information and services. Retention. What do those visitors do on the site? Well, out of 55,615 page views, as you saw in the first graph, they came in and covered 2.64 pages per session. Not everyone has mastered that 0.64 yet, so obviously there are some coming in. I think lately we've had many roofing contractors coming in. They're grabbing a permit application and downloading and going, so that's very quick. Others come in to read the news. They may be reading an article or something else. So they may be, covering 5 pages over 3 or 4 minutes. It varies dramatically, but this gives you an average of our visitors. 3 out of 4 visitors to the website arrive via a search engine. How does it feel to be Googled? We know. Google makes up more than 90% of the search engine searches that we do receive. Direct traffic, which is usually residents, we're seeing almost 12% of that, and that's a good number. Referral and social is a growing number. We expect to see that continue to go up. And that's 12.5%. I was particularly encouraged by the direct traffic because I heard from Lieutenant Fortenberry in the police department this morning. He called and said a resident was trying to access her patrol area for her neighborhood, and she couldn't tell based on the map where her area laid, whether it was in 3 or 4. And I usually don't like to hear those kinds of things because it means we're dropping the ball somewhere. But I found 2 positives in it. One, resident was using the website to get information. We like that. Number 2, we were able to do something about it. I got with Justin Kurtz in GIS this morning. He pulled a new map based on the patrol areas into GIS, and we had it online by 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that's the response we want to hear and the response that we want to give to our public. Mobile site statistics. About 4 years ago, Google, there's that word again, Google put a mandate that if a site was not mobile enabled, that it would not appear in the top echelon of their searches anymore. I took that, I went to a company called Doodah, I kid you not. It's reputable, trust me. And it is a very functional, it's workable. They've been passed by a few other companies in the past, but it gave us a solution, and we're now seeing more and more mobile statistics come through with this. And again, as we redesign our current site, we're looking at a company that said they build every site on a mobile platform first because they know that's the future. And it will work with any mobile device, whether you have an iPad, an iPhone, a Samsung, some other site type of tablet, or a desktop. So times have changed. Most viewed pages. The home page, job openings, those have led this ranking nearly every month since I've been doing this report through Google Analytics. Police Department, we mentioned Lieutenant Fortenberry getting the call this morning. They do a very good job of updating their materials, specifically with the traffic department. Sergeant Ballinger does a very good job of keeping that updated, and it's as much to educate as it is to inform. The others you will see are designed really for the outdoors or getting around the site. Youth baseball, parks and recreation, upcoming events through the events center, rental facilities, youth sports. That's the page we expect to see. Those are the results we expect to see on this page as we move into the midsummer of our season. Again, these will shift and change a little bit, probably with the exception of home and job openings. Everyone wants to live the dream, and I encourage them to. Again, that's a very quick overview of your website report, your monthly report. I hope you will take a look at it over the course of every meeting, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about the site.
Council?
I wasn't serious about the Russians.
Oh, that would basically picture Vladimir on
Not for me.
Steve, we appreciate the information and all you do to keep us current in all of those aspects and regards, and as a frequent user of those sites for information, I appreciate the fact that we do keep them updated, and appreciate your work on that. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Council, with that, we'll move to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Only a couple of items to share with you this evening. One of those is that we are publishing our schedule for the filing of public office. As many of you are aware, this is an election year for our city. We'll be accepting filings for districts 2, 4, and 6. Each of those are for 4-year terms. We'll also be accepting filings for Commissioner of Public Works for a 6-year term. Those filings will begin at noon on July 17th, and it will remain open until noon on August the 15th. Filing fee is $70 for council members, $125 for Commissioner of Public Works. That filing will take place here with our municipal clerk, Tammy Duncan, and that can happen between 8:30 and 4:30 Monday through Friday, again beginning at noon on July 17th and running through August 15th. Council Districts 2, 4, and 6, and a Commissioner of Public Works. We will be publishing that notice in our local media here within the next few days, and we wanted to make sure you were aware of that schedule as we move forward. We do have an exciting event that will be coordinated through our recreation department. As many of you know, we have been working for some time now in our partnership for a healthy community by doing a walk with elected officials. We've made a decision that we will be sharing that event prior to our next council meeting, so we'll be sending you some additional information, but prior to your next meeting on July the 11th, we will have a walk with your elected official that will begin here at City Park, and will conclude here at City Park in time for us to come back in here and begin our meeting. So again, we're trying to encourage our community to get up and to move, to be active, and we thought that this might be a good opportunity to share that event prior to one of our meetings. And so we'll have some additional information, some details coming to you about that. Last but not least, it's important for us to note the extremely coordinated effort among our team members for Freedom Blast that we experienced this past Saturday. The weather gods did not cooperate with us in its entirety, but we did get a nice break. The rain subsided, the sun came out for a bit, and the crowds flowed in. So we had a wonderful turnout for Saturday evening here at City Park. The fireworks show was again spectacular. It was absolutely one of the best fireworks shows that I think you would experience anywhere, but particularly here in our upstate region. It takes an awful lot of folks to make sure that that event goes off. And as the mayor was mentioning about Mr. Owens, yes, we have to, everything from publicity and promotion to all the details that it takes to take care of the volunteers that are here for that event, coordinating our music vendors, coordinating our food vendors, coordinating everything that takes place on that site. So congratulations to all of our team members. There's not a department in our city that is not represented to make sure that that event takes place. We're looking forward to it in our next year, and so our plans have already begun as we start to anticipate that event for 2018. I do recall that we now do that on the last Saturday of June, and we'll be looking forward to celebrating that event again next year. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity to celebrate our armed forces, veterans, and active military personnel around our community, enjoy music and a great fireworks show as we prepare for the 4th of July. So thank you to all of our team members that made that event possible, and thank you for your participation, your attendance at that as well. I do have a couple of items that I'd like Council's consideration of in executive session this evening. One of those is a contractual item that is a request for us to consider an offer to purchase a piece of city property or some property that the city owns. We have a request for that consideration. And the other is a personnel matter relative to an item that you have on your agenda for this evening, but it's a personnel matter concerning the appointment of our municipal judge. So just want to have some additional conversation with council about that this evening and our process forward with that in executive session. So those are two items, one contractual, one personnel.
Thank you, sir. And I'm sure that any additional information or follow-up, Mr. Diggers will be glad to help you with if you have questions. Please convey on my behalf, and I'm sure others that were here Saturday night for that event, my sincere thanks for those volunteers and folks that worked Saturday evening. Not under the best of circumstances early in that event, but I do not recall having encountered one single person that was working for us this evening complaining about the weather. And it would have been very easy to do. And I was just amazed at not only the number of people that we had working that evening, but as you say, from every single department, somebody I think I recognized from across the city. And again, from a customer service standpoint, helpful indeed, and we were rewarded a little bit later in the evening with a clearing of the skies, and by the time the band finished, albeit about 10 or 15 minutes later than they were supposed to, we had a wonderful fireworks evening, and I did stop by and talk to several of the merchants downtown. At least two of them reported, one of them reported their biggest night of the entire year, which I think was fairly obvious. The other one said probably the largest crowd they have ever seen downtown. I think people sort of stuck close to some of the places downtown that they thought they might could duck in if the weather turned bad again, but we're certainly here to see the fireworks. So please thank our entire staff, and particularly those that worked the event. Great event, and appreciate their efforts. With that, then we'll move to boards and commissions. The Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport Environs Planning Commission. The Greenville County representative is Mr. Andy Burley. His term expires on 6/30. I've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Burley. He has agreed to serve another term. If it is agreeable with council, I would like to offer Mr. Burley for another term. Do I hear a second in that regard?
Second.
With that, then, Ms. Adams.
Mr. Airwood.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, I apologize that these have slipped up on us just a bit, but we will, if we are not prepared this evening, we will hold over to our next meeting, and hopefully you'll have a chance to get to some of these folks. In the meantime, if there is the need for these groups to meet, we'll allow them to continue under their current structure to move forward, so that we don't hold anybody up. The Board of Architectural Review, Linda Wood's term expires 6/30/2017, and Marty Hannon's term expires 6/30/2017. Do we have any action in that regard? Hearing none, we will review the responsibilities of those two and be in touch with those folks, and have more information at our next meeting. Also, in regards to a term that expires on 6/30/2017, Allison Ringer, who represents District 1 on the Board of Zoning Appeals, the term will expire on 6/30/2017. So,
Yes, sir. I've communicated with Ms. Ringer, and she has expressed her willingness to continue to serve. And she's not only active with this board, she's very active in our community, and she's a cheerleader for the city. And so I'd like to renominate her for District 1 representative.
all right.
Second.
Have a second. Any questions in that regard, comments? Allison indeed is helping sort of lead the charge down at the Center for the Arts as well, too. She is indeed very active. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, as the administrator has pointed out tonight, Municipal Judge Hank Mims' term expires 6/30. We will have more information in regards to that appointment later this evening. And then in the Planning Commission, Districts 2, Judy Jones's term expires 6/30. Mark Hopper's term expires 6/30. He represents District 3. And Brian Martin's term expires 6/30 as well. Anyone prepared to make a nomination in regards to Districts 2, 3, or 6?
On 6, I've been in contact with Brian Martin, and he has expressed his wishes to stay on if we so choose. He does a good job.
I'll consider that a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments in regards to reappointing Mr. Martin? Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. With that, we'll move to items of old business, the second and final reading of ordinance number 15-2017. This is an ordinance to provide for the annexation of properties and a portion of property owned by the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport District located on J. Burn Smith Parkway and Victor Hill Road, Victor Avenue Extension and McElrath Road, J. Vern Smith Parkway, and the Victor Avenue Extension by 100% petition to establish a zoning classification of I-1 for said properties. Ms. McCormick's with us this evening. It comes as second reading. Any additional or new information you bring in regards to ordinance number 15-2017?
Thank you, Mayor Danner. No, sir, there is no additional information at this time.
Council, there is no new information in regards to ordinance 15-2017. Do I hear a motion to receive?
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Comments? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, we have the second and final reading of ordinance number 16-2017, an ordinance to change the zoning classification of properties owned by Her Will LLC located on Palmer Street from RM1 multifamily to C2 commercial. Ms. McCormick, any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 16-2017?
Not at this time, thank you.
Hearing the recommendation of staff, do I hear a motion to receive ordinance 16-2017?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion. Questions? Comments? Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Ms. Booker.
Yes.
Mr. Bettis.
Yes.
Ms. Albert.
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, we have the second and final reading of ordinance number 17-2017, an ordinance to change the zoning classification of property owned by Steve Salmon located at 9 Inglesby Street from PD Plan Development to DRD Design Review. Comes the second reading. Ms. McCormick, do we have any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 17-2017?
Not at this time, sir, thank you.
Council, hearing no new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 17-2017, do I hear a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Floor is open for discussion.
No, this is related to this net zero farm, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I was pleased to hear some of the information that you presented, and especially that you've already got like 12 interested families, because at the first reading, I'm kind of thinking, okay, where are these people going to come from? And when you were talking about the farm or the garden that you're going to have, I think that I was kind of hearing or kind of understood that the owners or the people that live or own the homes would be doing the farming. But from tonight, I didn't get that.
No.
So your company will be, yeah, okay. So I
Mr.
kinda thought it
Clayton,
was gonna
for a
be-
matter of record, if you don't mind, if you'll come to the podium, that way we'll have this as a matter of record. The question obviously is on the record, so if you'll explain a little bit more about the gardening aspect of it, you may want to even talk a little bit more about how the master gardener at Furman has approached this and his success with it.
Yes. Again, my co-founding partner is Bruce Adams, who's the organic farm manager at Furman. We've also hired our farm manager who will be on site and who will also live in the community as well. Her name is Jessica Gates. She's a permaculturist. She's a real pro, real sweet young lady. She's got a family and 2 small children. And she's been working with Bruce at Furman for 2 months now to kind of prepare, the way for how Bruce does things. The concept is basically for us to build a really neat, unique community where we've lowered the energy requirements. We rely on renewable energy as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And we supply, healthy food for the community to eat. And basically all they've got to do is offer up volunteer hours, and then they get their food free. And so that's the way the farm will work. We have to stay engaged in order for the model to be long-term sustainable. Lots of projects like this are very good in merit and when they start, but if you don't have an ongoing revenue source, when the money runs out, most of those projects collapse. And so we can't just leave it as an open-ended, for the folks in the community who think they want to, live in a farm environment. And it's not truly a farm environment. It's truly modern day, food production. But that's the way the model works long term, is that we provide the guidance. We gently take them by the hand and teach them what they don't know and appreciate what they do know and they bring to the table. But it's a very nice closed loop, circle.
What's the price range
Of the homes?
Yes.
The 800 square foot unit will sell for $127,500. The 1,300 square foot unit, which is a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-car garage, will sell for right at $175,000.
I think with today's environment and everything everybody wants everything so quick, and I gathered from the first reading, or my thoughts there with the first reading, I'm seeing a lot of farmers, farmers there, and maybe horse and buggy and things like that was my kind of first impression on this. The houses, the concept there looks nice, but my one concern, I know, if I recall correctly, they weren't going to have electricity ran into the subdivision.
Correct.
Now, you did mention gas, and you did mention the water and sewer, which I was glad to hear that, because I don't think I even picked that up on the last one, so that it was all going to be done to take care of itself. Everything would be done to take care of itself in there. Mm-hmm. And the gravel, no paving?
No paving, because we want every drop of rain that falls to earth on that property to get into the soil. Water is the next coming crisis in the world, because at the end of World War II, we had 30% potable water, and we had just over 3 billion people on the planet. Today, we still have 30% potable water, but we're north of 8 billion people on the planet and anticipated to cross 10 billion somewhere in the next 25 years. So water is very precious. So precious to the point where we utilize every single drop as much as we can. We'll be depositing gray water, which is water out of your shower, your bathroom sink, and your washing machine, into sand pits and gravel pits that act as filters to irrigate the landscaping around the home. Now we have to have fresh water wells and rainwater that we can use on our organic raised bed gardens, but the gravel road bed is just so that we capture every bit. We want no runoff, and we'll have rainwater capture on the roofs as well.
I rode down Inglesby twice now, trying to, because I was kind of looking for proposed zoning or something, to kind of lead me to which one it was. But I rode down to Inglesby again this evening on the way to the meeting. And there's kind of a dip there, and I did see a posted.
That's it.
Is that it? Yeah.
That's it.
I just wonder about, I know there's, from what the report said last time too, there's flood zone
Yes.
back there.
Half the property.
What about their homeowners insurance? I mean,
They're not in the flood zone. That's the reason why we're building 18 homes, is the 18 homes are clearly out of the flood zone. But the flood zone is beautiful for us to put our raised bed gardens. So,
yeah.
And we've got, the property is like a big boomerang shape, if you would. And we've got a 2,000-foot run by Maple Creek. And this is a absolute hidden jewel in the city, because the lower end, the property butts up to the rail line, the hill that the rail runs over, and on the other side is Century Park. And underneath that bank, underneath the railroad, is a trestle. And there is a sewer trunk that runs under that trestle. Well, there's still approximately 9 to 10 feet in height above that sewer trunk and the trestle, to where we could put a metal walk grid and connect up Century Park. And we're going to put in walking trails by that 2,000 square foot run, so that the public can come enjoy, walking the trails. And then the upper end almost touches Jones Road. So what we propose to do is, if we can work it out with Mr. Vicaria to put our farm market across Jones Road from our site, then we'll extend the walking trails all the way up there. So conceivably, folks can park at Century Park and walk all the way up, cross over Jones, and keep going all the way almost, to behind near the library.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it actually, this property is just gorgeous. And what you see when you ride by on Inglesby, we're going to take that area and make a very nice entryway. But the trees that you see that prevent you from getting the full view, that will basically stay the same, so that our clients who live there will have some relative privacy. Plus, we'll be putting in, trees and shrubs that is bordering, and we'll be putting in an 8-foot fence line that runs behind the houses along Bobo. Plus, down the lower end near the Century Park, the trestle I was just talking about, there's a condemned house that's actually, the address is number 1 Bobo, that's going to be torn down, and the Greenville Redevelopment Authority owns that property. And I've been talking to them once they tear that down to acquire that and make that an entryway for us, because our barn operation is going to be on that end. And we can make it a parking lot so that folks can actually come park there and walk the trails.
No. I think I still have a problem with maybe in the future if power's not run in. Now, I know the sun's getting hotter. We all know that we're getting hotter. So as far as your solar panels, you wouldn't think that would be an issue. But with time, as time goes on, and people's wants more than needs, which is what we all have a problem with, is our wants rather than our needs, that if the development does not flourish and you have other people coming in that may, want the power, and the power won't be there.
Let me explain how that works too. It's a very good question, and I get that a lot. The way it works is that we're building a passive solar home that we're lowering the demand for energy. We're using very well insulated materials, and the structure is very well sealed up. And we put enough solar panels on the roof to keep our bank of batteries charged, so that the that predominantly most of the year, and we get 75% sunny days in the south, and we get 5 solar hours a day. And that's basically between 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, and that's how we keep the batteries charged. You're always getting your electricity off the batteries. And if you don't get enough sun, then we've got a natural gas generator that will kick on and recharge the batteries. So that the beautiful thing about our community, power will never go out, ever, ever. We own all the energy equipment, because in January of 2016, the state of South Carolina finally caught up with the rest of the country and put on the books what's called a third-party provider, which means that individuals can go out and set up a solar field and sell that power to individuals, in essence becoming a utility company. And so as a result of that law being put on the books in January of 2016, that's how our model works. So RSL, my company, will partner with the Homeowners Association to not only monitor, the volunteer hours in the gardens. In return, we pay the utility bills, we pay the water, sewer, and natural gas bills. But we're also the ones responsible for maintaining the energy equipment. And we're going to have an escrow account that we'll spin off a portion of our revenue from the farm market and from farm sales into that escrow account, so there's always a ready pot of money to take care of any needs in the community. The other thing, which is good for the city, is that we don't require any maintenance in the city. We don't even require garbage pickup. We're taking care of that as well, because we wholeheartedly, this is a green community. This is not just elite certified, blah, blah, blah. This is a green community. It's not for everybody. My bet all along has been that it's a niche market for sure, but the niche is way bigger than most people realize. And so we'll be maintaining all the equipment, we'll own the equipment, and we'll provide the services. The homeowners will own the dirt their home sits on, they'll own their home, they just won't own the energy equipment. It's no different than you don't own the meter on the side of your house that Duke Energy supplies power to your house. I mean, they own that. So the only difference between Duke and us is that, and our homes are wired exactly the same as your homes. You will have a 200 amp panel. They'll all be wired. Your lights and everything will be working the same, except we'll have all LED lights in the house. And with the exception of Duke Power supplying power to the back of that box, your power comes off your batteries. And the batteries I'm using are called Simplify, and they were developed 15 years ago by a group in California, and they have the longest warranty of any battery, solar battery, in the industry, and it's a 10-year warranty. The solar panels will have a 15 to 20-year warranty on them. And I'm an engineer, and my true desire is to stay on the cutting edge and be a demonstration community for everything, so that as breakthroughs in battery technology, as breakthroughs in solar technology occur, we'll go back in and we'll retrofit to upgrade.
One question.
Okay.
How did this property in Greer come about with this? I know you said you're a Greer boy, but you live in TR, so I'm just wondering, how did it settle on Inglesby Street?
That's a long story, but I'll condense it as best I can. I'm involved with a number of projects that I'm bringing to the area, and it was another project that forced me to look for potential manufacturing space and office space in Greer because of close proximity to my supply for that business. And that's how I found my office, which we're currently renting. We're going to be buying from Dale Massengill and his sisters, right down 290, I call it 290, it's Poinsett. We're almost directly across from the inland port, and we're going to be doing some manufacturing there. And so that's what led me there. And then this project, this vision, God gave me this vision 5 years ago to address food, energy, and housing from a renewable, sustainable perspective. That's where it all started. And so from there, I was riding around Greer, checking out other, sites, for this manufacturing site, and I saw Steve Sandlin's sign, right across the railroad tracks, beside the old farm market or the farm seed and feed that's right beside Victor ball field. And so I called him, and lo and behold, I had totally forgotten about it, but I had bought a piece of my property that I live on in Travelers Rest from Steve Sandlin 16 years ago. And so Steve and I started talking. I was telling him what I was doing. I was looking at that property for the farm market. And so Steve said, well, I've got this property over on Inglesby, and he's owned it for 25 years. And he bought it from J.P. Stevens. And the only thing this property's ever been used for is the right-of-way for the sewer trunk that runs through the middle of it. That's the only thing. And we're going to put down the gravel roadbed exactly on top of the existing roadbed that runs along the top of the sewer trunk. So that's how we got this property.
And I'll hush in case somebody else has something to say, but my curiosity has been up about this, and it's kind of been on my mind since the last council meeting.
Good.
I know with my concerns too is with the gravel. How many gravel roads do cars go down and they're rutted out?
Oh, that won't happen. See, remember I told you the house that's going to be torn down on Bobo? We want to turn that into an entryway / parking lot, but that end of our development is going to be where we build our barn, where we process everything, but we also are going to be having mulch piles there. We're going to be having composting there. We'll be collecting food scraps from all the residents in the community, plus I'm going to hook up with all the restaurants I can and collect their food waste, so that we can turn that into rich compost for our outdoor raised bed gardens. But along with those piles, there'll be a big gravel pile, because we will maintain that gravel, and we'll have a on-site tractor with a bucket and a backhoe on it, so it'll be an easy thing to, as an ongoing basis, to, things start to rut out, then we immediately fix it. Plus, I'm going to have an on-site maintenance person as well, who will also be living in the community. And their responsibility will be maintaining the energy equipment and actually, keeping the road bed and anything else maintenance-wise in the community taken care of. And that person will be paid, their salary will be paid by the joint HOA RSL fund. And so I've got it budgeted for that person to be paid out of that.
And well, one thing, I know that at one time the government was doing a lot of pushing on solar. Is this any backing or anything from the government with solar power and all that, or?
The government gives, the government can take away, so I don't ever bank on any of that. It's a nice caveat to add in. And one of the nice things for us being the utility provider for the community, and all of our communities will function this way, we get the tax credits because we own the equipment. So the federal government will give me a 30% tax credit, materials, labor, everything for the installation. And each home will have about $15,000 worth of energy equipment. And that will take care of the entire energy needs that they have.
And then, excuse me, I'm sorry, I seem to be monopolizing this, but I apologize. I see in that area too, when you talk about a $175,000 house, does the I know Inglesby is part of a mill village,
Right.
okay? And I know basically what the comps in there would be. When you talk about 175,000 house being back in there, I mean, the in and out, it's kind of like when you think about the townhomes that were going to be built over at like a loft, I guess, over at the Appalach Mill. And I believe they have started back some type of work or construction out there too.
Yeah, and
So
that's
you
where
just
I grew
wonder
up,
if
by the way,
you
is
know,
Appalach.
I do real estate too, but when you ride down certain areas, people kind of, I don't want to have to pass this to get to my house. I don't want to, I mean, that's just people.
Right. And see, to the 175 homes will probably be our phase 2, which will be the Jones Road side. And that's the way I bring people into the development anyway, is off of Buncombe, down Jones, and then turn left onto Inglesby. And that way you've only got a short stretch, and there's some gentrification going on in that area. The last home that sold in the Mill Village sold for a little over $90,000.
Yeah, I know everything's gone up, definitely.
And so, on the phase 1 side where we're building the first 11 homes, those homes will probably range 127 to maybe 145, depending on what the homeowner decides on which square footage model they want. But that'll be the range. And see, in our homes, again, organic food, this is USDA certified organic, and no utility bills. So, we have lots of, benefits, that justify that difference. Now, case in point, the same community down in Charleston that we're going to be building, those homes will be 1,700 square feet and up, and the price tag on those will be $250 and up. And that's still a bargain in Charleston. But, the Greer community, that's been the challenge of this property, is because half of it's in the floodplain, in the middle of it's a sewer trunk, and I got just enough space out of the floodplain to build 18 homes. And I'm backed up by Mill Village. And praise God that, the property itself, when you walk onto it, you're in a different world. And it's a total park setting.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of wildlife in there. Most people who live in Greer aren't even aware that this property is here. And if we take necessary precautions to put proper buffers between us and the Mill Village homes, and the same thing going up Inglesby to Jones Road, we'll be doing the same thing. But on that side, we'll be building our aquaponics and hydroponics unit as well. And everything that we're doing is intended to lift the surrounding area. So, I mean, we're the young couple that lives on the corner at the entryway on 9 Inglesby, they're getting ready to sell their house. Guess what? They're tickled to death that we're doing what we're doing, because their value is going up because they're immediately adjacent to us. So that we want it to be win, 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 win for everybody.
I thought you was going to tell me they was going to sell their house and buy one of yours.
I think they're being transferred. They love the concept, but again, that's our aim. Is and I'm not going to be subbing out any of the work. My team is going to be building these homes, and they're going to, once they start, they're going to stay on it. There's no traditional contractor, anything with what we're doing. We're building with aerated concrete, which is an insulated block. I've got that metal piece thing sitting in that blue bag is what's called a wally wall. It's a standard steel stud construction prefab panel that comes pre-insulated. And it has an R value of 36, and to put that in perspective, that's 7 points higher than code. So everything we do exceeds code. So that's,
What will the houses be constructed of? Are they going to be constructed of the concrete, cement?
Yeah, it's called aerated concrete, and think concrete sponge. It's very porous. It's actually Europe's #1 building material, and most of Asia, has been for over 100 years. The gentleman who I'm partnering with to get the block from is building a facility in Bennettsville. He spent 28 years with Sunoco in Europe, and that's how he discovered this. And then when he retired and came back to the States and realized that we don't have it, he and I have been collaborating and working together for 5 years on this. And so it's a beautiful material. It requires no insulation. And our homes will be built on a concrete slab, aerated concrete walls, and then the Wally wall top. None of the materials that we build with burns. You can sit there and hold a flame on it all day long, and it will not ignite. And we will never have to have a termite inspection. We will never have to have mold inspections. Never. None of those things will apply to what we're doing. So that's why we're kind of jazzed about this community being the first one. And I grew up in Appalachia.
Yeah, okay.
And so the mill was near to me growing up. So,
Yeah, it started out with a beautiful concept, and then it's been on hold for several years now.
yeah, the crash happened.
Yeah, and then I see them back over there working now, and I heard something, but I'm not quite sure what's going on. So.
Yeah, I've been hearing increasing buzz too.
Tell me again briefly what the revenue stream is to maintain what would be considered the infrastructure of the community, just briefly, where will that?
Let me break it all the way down. Bruce has got this 1/4 acre outdoor raised bed garden at Furman University. Bruce, off a 1/4 acre, grosses $75,000 a year. 1/4 acre. Do the math. That's $300,000 an acre. We're putting in 2 to 3 acres in every community with the intent of having $1 million in gross revenue, gross sales from the garden alone. Then we haven't even factored in our grow unit. I've been collaborating with a hydroponics greenhouse down in Charleston. The gentleman has been operating a 5,000 square foot greenhouse, if you would, growing winter tomatoes for the Charleston market. He's been doing it for 17 years. He seeds his operation on July the 1st. He begins to harvest tomatoes on November 1st. From November 1st to June 1st, he harvests 64 tons of tomatoes from a 5,000 square foot greenhouse. Do the math. That's $3 a pound. And these tomatoes taste as good as any July tomato.
Well, let me just kind of stop you right there. The question where I'm leading to is that we've had subdivisions before, not like this, of course, but where they said, we don't want garbage pickup, we don't want this, we don't want that, and you've got private roads that you're going to construct, but they are, and they're going to be to our regulation, but they're nowhere near permanent. I mean, they're the type of road you have to maintain. And you're saying that this, you're not going to put down any kind of compactable stone. What I hear you saying, you're going to put down a washed stone where the water's going to flow through, so that's going to be more and more maintenance, I would say. So my question is this: you got, gross numbers are great, but you got a tractor, and that's, I don't know, if you go out and buy one brand new, that's probably with everything, you got a $500 month expense plus fuel and all this other good mess. So what happens, and you're going to be receiving dollars from HOA, is that right? Are you going to have a HOA association that's going to be?
The HOA, yeah, each client will pay somewhere around $125 a month HOA fees. That goes into an HOA operated fund. I partner, my company, RSL, partners with the HOA to provide, that common ground where The citizens volunteer to help us work the gardens. The tractor is only for the bucket to take mulch and compost around.
No, I
Yeah,
get that.
there's no tilling or anything.
The other question I've got is the raised garden going to be in the floodplain?
It is.
So we have a 100-year flood, it wipes your ability to produce income, it's gone for that season. Not trying to dissuade you, I just have to make sure that for the citizens in District 1, that if, how in perpetuity are we going to be, how is it going to be guaranteed that this community won't come back on the rolls of the city dole, because now you're, whatever, nobody's here guaranteed tomorrow, and you're gone, you're out of the picture, we have a 100-year flood, it wipes away that part of the incoming, or the income producing, so you lose that element. And so things, how are we guaranteed that we aren't going to be asked to go back in there to put in roads, to put in sidewalks, because, normally a developer is required to put sidewalks in the interior of it as well. So, and I think that the commission, the way they stand on it is if they don't drop their lines in there now, they're not going to do it. So they're not going to give you electrical, even if you're gone, or the buyers of the homes now say, well, it's not running everything that I need it to run, even with the backup generators recharging my batteries. It's just not doing it. I want power. So, I mean, that's with a traditional type neighborhood, if builder, developer goes out of business, you still have a product there that, it's normal. You can find something that's comparable.
Right.
Where this is, it's not.
No.
And so, and you said it, there's not that many folks out there, there's not the demand areas for a normal house or a normal neighborhood.
Right.
So, I go back to that one question. Is there, what is set in place to protect the city from having to go in and, because we live this, we had residents who bought homes where the developer wanted private roads, which means we don't provide garbage pickup. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, place sells out, and now they want garbage pickup, even though it was on their deed. They don't get it, and they raised enough stink, and now we provide garbage service. So, I don't want we have to go in there, or the city having to go in there in 10, 15, 20 years having to put in roads or put in sidewalks or whatever. But what is there to protect us? Is there anything?
Oh yeah. First of all, the farm market, and I'm an engineer, but I backed into the restaurant business for 13 years. My wife and I owned Banana Deli in downtown Greer. And so I have that background. I outfitted 9 different restaurants and built during my career in the restaurant business. The farm market, I don't think anybody in this room is going to stop eating anytime soon. And the trends are clearly towards eating more and more and more organic food, right? And we're in the position right now in the world to where it's a classic supply and demand equation, where the demand for organic far outstrips the supply. So we're meeting a need there. We're providing a very much wanted premium product. Plus, across the road, to kind of go back to one of your questions, on Jones Road, Mr. Vicaria is getting ready to build some patio homes, normal, traditional homes, that are 1,200 square feet that he's going to sell for $175. So there's my comps. And he's probably going to get started on those before I get to phase 2. So I'm going to have the farm market, and I'm going to have my aquaponics and hydroponics unit, to which I'm going to be growing and selling fish. And by the way, we're working on a way to grow trout and shrimp, which further distinguishes us in the market. But we're going to be growing everything in that hydroponics unit, which will be protected, which is out of the floodplain completely. So 1,000-year flood won't impact that. So we'll still have ongoing revenue from our greenhouse. And again, I go to my friend down in Charleston, 5,000 square foot greenhouse, harvest 64 tons of tomatoes, basically 7 months time. So, the two solid sources of revenue are the farm market. Because we're going to be putting in what Starbucks calls We Proudly Serve, like the Starbucks line in the Ingalls over on Fairview, by Fairview Church. If you've got an existing market, basically all you have to do is buy the equipment. You buy all your coffees and everything from Starbucks. You just can't put the Starbucks symbol in your window, and you can't call yourself Starbucks. But we sell 80% of their menu. So that's going to be an ongoing source of revenue. We're going to put in an ice cream counter. And I'm going to try and talk Wim Dillard into putting one of his, ice cream counters in this store right down the road from him, which gives him winter sales as well, because this is a year-round market, Monday through Saturday. And so we'll have that. Then we'll have the commercial kitchen, where we can lease that out, because that's another trend that folks, come in and lease out space to do catering. They lease out space to make their products that they want to go sell at local farm markets. Plus, guess what? We're a farm market, so they can go make it in our kitchen. We take it out on the floor and they sell it. So that's our ongoing revenue. If we get a 1,000-year flood and it wipes out our raised bed gardens, we've still got those two anchors of revenue going forward. And we're talking about gravel road beds. Gravel's not expensive. And I'm going to keep a ready source on site to keep it maintained and in good shape. And that existing road bed, the Commission of Public Works takes their big honking, weighs 1 million pounds truck right down the center of it. The road bed's pretty solid. So all I'm doing is coming across the top of that and putting down a gravel bed. So it's not like it's going to wash away or anything. And we're going to be on top of that with our in-community person. So we're not walking away because we own it. I mean, that's our business. We just happen to let these folks buy into the community and live there with us. But we're not going anywhere, period. So, and the reason why we don't want the city, collecting waste is because I want their food scraps. I want to recycle. And refuse waste, we'll have a dumpster that we'll gladly take care of. And so I'll have my guys take once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, ever how often we fill that thing up, and we'll go dump it. Personally, I take my own garbage off. My wife and I recycle 70% of everything we do. And once a month, I make a trip to the Marietta landfill or the dump. And that's how I take care of my own. So everything we're doing is a proven model, down to the solar voltaics. My first job out of Clemson in 1982 was building passive solar homes and installing solar hot water systems. Generating electricity from solar was not yet, it was still on the drawing boards. But it's a very proven science, and it's continuing to improve efficiencies, as we go day by day, which is why we want to stay on top of whenever new improvements come along, we want to go back in and retrofit and keep it up to date. Because we're going to be building these communities all around the southeast, we're building corporate strength. And again, we're never going to disengage from the community. And it's never going to be the point. I had investors right off the bat, before I even had the MLS listing up, wanted to come in and buy all 18 homes and turn them into rental properties. No, that's not how this model works. This model has to work this way, and it will work this way, because we've done a ton of research, and we know our market. I'm not at all surprised that we practically got the whole thing sold out, and we're still a month away from breaking ground. So, but no, we're never going to disengage. And
Mark.
if the worst case,
Much as I hate to drag this out,
yeah.
I think the answer to your question is there is no guarantee unless we require it, okay? The one question I have is, I'm hearing all this income, there's going to have to be a business license in here somewhere, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my only question.
It is in the city.
My question with all these businesses that you're describing there, why is it necessary to have the homes? I mean, why not just do the gardening and the other things that you talked about that? Why is there a need? Or is it just for their waste?
That's a top 5 question I get. Our target market is the millennials, but there's a lot of us baby boomers that are downsizing and really want this environment. Case in point, 5 years ago, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law had to move into an assisted living. Prior to that, they were avid gardeners, avid. They had a 2-acre lot, and probably at least an acre of it was garden. And that was their passion. They could not find an assisted living facility anywhere that would allow them to continue in their garden. And I'm convinced that contributed to shortening their lives. So, yeah, and that's something else that we'll do down the road. We'll do some assisted living facilities that'll work like this as well. But no, that's the millennials are our target, and half the people that we think we've got them sold to right now are millennials. Millennials are labeled a lot of things, but the bottom line with a millennial, and I've got 5 kids, all millennials. My 4th grandchild's on its way. And I'm all about leaving the world a better place for my grandchildren. And millennials, if you give them a purpose, they're all in. They're in both feet, they're in. But if it's only a paycheck and you don't explain to them why they're doing what they're doing, they won't be there long at all. And see, this is a community, my realtor came up with this phrase, slogan, whatever you will, lifestyle with a purpose. That's what it's all about. Lifestyle with a purpose.
Well, it's not only millennials, but you have a lot of seniors who just love that dirt. That dirt is therapy.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It sure
Some
is.
people just raised off the land and get a kick out of growing stuff and seeing it grow.
Yeah.
Because I know even with the raised beds that you got up at Needmore that they put in, every year those seniors are out there working those beds, and that food is being used and put back in the community.
That's right. That's right. It sure is. It sure is.
I think I would be okay with the concept if it was the paved roads, I guess, driveways paved and electricity.
Driveways are concrete.
And electricity ran into the thing for future use.
That's
Regular development.
I mean, because I think that in the long run, we may need that regular old development.
the electricity is non-negotiable. It's just
We got it.
non-negotiable.
Got a
It's-
motion, we have a second.
Council, I don't want to stifle debate because it's been informative, but one of the things we do have to remember is the ordinance is in regard to the zoning classification rather than his business model. There are no guarantees if it's a traditional unit or it's a urban farm, and so if there are other questions regarding the zoning, I think it would be appropriate that those be addressed either to staff or to Mr. Clayton. Otherwise, we will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion to hear a second?
Second.
All right, floor is open for any further discussion that we might want to have in regards to ordinance number 17-2017.
I'd like to call a question.
Question's been called. Ms. Adams? Have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry?
You have the motion and second.
We have a motion and a second. Question's
Yes,
been
sir.
called.
I'm sorry.
It's your turn.
Mr. Airwood,
No.
Mr. Griffin,
It's okay that you forgot. I forgot too. Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
No.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the information. We'll move to second and final reading of ordinance number 18-2017. This is a City of Greer budget ordinance fiscal year 2017-2018, an ordinance relating to the fiscal affairs of the City of Greer, South Carolina, making appropriations, therefore levying taxes, and to provide for an effective date. Earlier this evening, we held public hearing in regards to the ordinance. No one spoke in favor or against the ordinance. For the purpose of discussion, I'll entertain a motion to receive 18-2017.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion, comments, or questions.
Mr. Mayor, I applaud our staff as usual for putting together a very complete document. Even though I do not agree with everything in this budget, and I'm going to discuss that at a later date, I plan to support it on its face value.
Others? Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
No.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. We have the second and final reading of ordinance number 19-2017, an ordinance amending Chapter 18 Business License, Article 2, Licensing, Section 18-52 to reflect changes on the North American Industry Classification System Numerical Index. Any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 19-2017? With that then, with the recommendation of staff, I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So moved. Second.
Whatever.
Is this where I say jinx? We have a motion and a second. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council will move to items of new business, the first of which is the ordinance number 20-2017. This is an ordinance to change the zoning classification of property owned by Her Will LLC located on South Highway 14 from C2 to DRD. Ms. McCormick?
Thank you, Mayor Danner, members of council. We had the adjoining property to this just come through for rezoning to DRD, and this parcel is the smaller portion that was already in the city of Greer, currently zoned C2, that's going to adjoin the property that was recently annexed for the DRD, which is to build a townhome community. The developer is here if you would like to talk to him. However, it is an 81 lot community that will be developed by Ryan Homes, as we heard in previous council sessions.
By show of hands, is the owner or the representative of the owner with us this evening? You available for questions if any come up during this debate? Yes. Okay, thank you, sir. Council will entertain a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Floor is open for discussion. Comments or questions? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. City of Greer Policy and Procedure Manual. There have been some requests made for changes to our holiday pay and bereavement leave of the City of Greer Policy and Procedure Manual. Mr. Triggers will bring us information in that regard.
Thank you, sir. Contained in your packet is a memorandum that was provided to me by our HR director, Alicia Williamson. We have two matters of policy that we would like for your consideration to make amendments to. One of those is dealing with our holiday pay policy. One of the things that we discussed with you through the budget process is that we have the opportunity, and we've been working toward this for a number of years, we have the opportunity to make a modification relative to holiday pay. One of the biggest challenges that we've experienced for a number of years has been the scheduling difficulty, particularly in our public safety area, both police and fire. As you can imagine, when we are providing compensatory time for a holiday, we are then in the position of needing to schedule 9 days for each employee in public safety. So all of our supervisors were having to work around the schedules. In addition to annual leave or sick leave, these additional holidays were causing some great difficulty from the scheduling side of things, being able to take those at a later date. We've been working for a number of years to provide resources in our budget that we would be able to compensate for those dates. All of our employees would be then provided for on an equity basis that equivalent amount of leave. So an employee that works 40 hours a week is getting 8 hours for a holiday. An employee that is working a police schedule 12 hours a day, they're going to get an equivalent of 8.55, and a firefighter who is working 24 and a quarter hours on a shift, they would get the equivalent of 11.33. This is, we believe that this does provide equity so that there is an equal amount of time provided to all employees for those holidays, as well as providing in our non-exempt status employees that they are paid for those holidays. So in essence, if an employee works the holiday, they are paid for their hours worked plus their holiday pay. If they are not scheduled to work on the holiday, if they're fortunate enough to be off on an observed holiday, then they are compensated for the holiday. And again, this is provided for, the dollars for this are provided for within our budget, and we've been kind of ramping up for that for a number of years. The second issue is relative to bereavement leave. We've been working for a number of years in an environment that I think all of us are familiar with, and that is that if we have a death in our immediate family and there's a need for us to be away from work, there's some compensation for that for those employees who need to be away. Our policy forever has basically said that we provide 3 days. We now are asking that we allow that we could extend that up to 5 days. Again, that's not 5 days of compensated pay. That is that they would be away for a period of 5 days before or 5 days after, and with the allowance that we would, with permission of the city administrator, we could provide that allowed leave could be even an extension of that. What we are finding more and more often in today's environment is that we may have an employee who has a relative, particularly a grandparent, possibly a parent that has died, and the service for that individual isn't going to be in the next 3 to 5 days. That service is actually going to be scheduled 2 weeks or 4 weeks away, possibly in another state. We want to be able to allow our employees to be able to attend those services. so that they can be with their family, but we would again provide that same amount of leave that we've always provided before, but giving us flexibility of when that leave is used. So again, no additional amount of time away, no additional compensation than what we're doing today, just allowing us to lengthen when that time may be used. And we've had a number of situations in the recent past that we've had employees that they've needed to either use personal leave or leave without pay simply because they've needed to be away to attend that funeral or that service. And so we believe that these two modifications would meet those. We provided to you the full language in those policies and procedures, but the memo describes in narrative the summary of each of those. It is my recommendation to council that we would consider, that you would consider an amendment to our personnel policies and procedures manual relative to those two issues.
Yeah, the holiday pay, would that be a net, basically overall increase in payroll, do you think?
It does, and we again, what we have done previously, we were allowing our employees to take up to 3, that we would compensate up to 3 days, and then it was basically a use it or lose it for the remainder of those days. One of the things that we were having great difficulty was, again, with annual leave and with sick leave, for those employees, for us to be able to schedule those additional, in that case, the additional, because we do 9, those additional 6 days, and of course the employees still maintaining their floating day that we have out there. So yes, it did require us to have some additional resources in there. Each of our 9 holidays cost us about $22,000 per holiday. That is the cost to us in providing those 9 holidays, about $22,000 per day. So again, we've been trying to achieve this for a number of years, and so what we've tried to do is ramp that up slowly. This budget allowed us to do that, and we provided those resources within the budget that you've just approved.
I'm glad you mentioned that per day, because I remember one of our first votes on council was the Martin Luther King holiday, and I asked David, how much does that cost us for a day on payroll? And he said, nothing. I said, what? I think he recanted and went like 25,000 or something like that.
Yeah. For most of our employees, when they are away on a holiday, next Tuesday is the 4th of July. Most of our employees who are away on the 4th of July, when they return to work, they will still be responsible for doing their work. So that day away is a lost productivity day for most of our employees. In public safety, that is not the case. In public safety, they have to be there for that work to occur. If they're not, we're having to bring someone else in, or we're short-shifted. There is a different environment relative to, particularly to public safety, because those operations don't close on Tuesday, the 4th of July. They don't close on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. They don't close on Thanksgiving Day. We still have to have those employees and that operation continuing. And so there is a cost to us to do that. And but the productivity issue and the equity issue has been a real workplace issue for us for a number of years. And we were at a point this year to remedy that through the budget. But by allowing the resources to be in the budget, it does require a policy change, because we will no longer provide what we call holiday comp. They will be paid for the holiday.
Ed, when I was reading the bereavement leave on there, to me it sounded like they were limiting it to 5 days, not that it was being extended. So I don't know if that's anyone else.
The current policy said 3 days. The revised policy says 5, and then it also says that we have the added exception, and the exception with the approval of the city administrator. So a person could request a time away because it's beyond the 5-day window. This is taking us from 3 days to 5 days, beyond 5 days with a special exception.
but it's before or after the death.
Yeah,
So
because
it's just
we
fine.
do have some circumstances that our employees need that time away because death is inevitable.
Right.
And they're dealing with a family issue during that period.
Council, on the recommendation of staff, do I hear a motion to receive?
So move.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session this evening, we have a request to consider one contractual matter and one personnel matter. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session, we have considered two matters, one a personnel matter and one a contractual matter. We've taken no action in regards to either of those matters. Do I hear a motion that we come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes.
Come on, I'll take those.
Before we adjourn this evening, I would like to thank Ms. Adams for joining us this evening. Ms. Duncan had an emergency and had to call Ms. Adams, who was apparently either home or on her way home, and she drove back to join us this evening so that Ms. Duncan could go home and make sure that they found the snake that was loose in her house and identify where he had come in so that they could rest comfortably tonight. So hats off to Ms. Adams for rejoining us tonight after she had gotten home a long ways from here. So stand adjourned.